Wednesday evening, everybody. Welcome back to LTL True Crime. And you heard me say LTL True Crime because we had a little bit of a name decision today. So I was in my members only live a couple of minutes ago, ran a little bit late, and that's why we started about 15 minutes later tonight. And we did kind of a vote in there. And I had been kind of kicking around the idea of dropping podcast in the name. I just don't feel like it's necessary. And I felt like LTL True Crime was much more streamlined. So I took a little vote in the room. Everybody made the decision. And going forward, this channel will be named LTL True Crime. Podcasts will not be there. The unfortunate thing about it is I have a lot of logo changes and name changes on my other platforms. Not sure how that's going to work out. I just tried changing my Facebook platform, but it's not going to allow me to do it for another 60 days. So not a big problem. But I got a lot of logos to change on the channel, intro logo to change, but that's all going to be changing soon anyway. I'm working with an artist here pretty soon that's going to make me up some nice logos because I do want to launch a merch line, and I'll be working with them soon. So slow changes coming, but I felt it was necessary that podcast got dropped. It felt kind of old and not fresh, and it was ready to change that. So let's see what I wanted to get into tonight. So I want to talk a little bit. There is some new documents that dropped on the Idaho website. So we'll pull that up and talk about that. We're going to talk about, obviously, the demolition of King Road that is supposed to happen tomorrow. And I want to get back into this Bluetooth connection because I did a little bit of research today and I found some interesting things out, barring the guest I'm going to have on tomorrow night that studied in the field for about 5 years. And she's going to be able to answer a lot of the questions that I have and just give us a little insight as to how Bluetooth works. I'm not an expert. I never said I was a technology expert. I never went to a college and took technical aspects of Bluetooth, but I have a lot of questions on how it works. And there's one major question that I want answered, and maybe they can provide that tomorrow with this guest. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to be a great show. And so we'll move on here to the kind of the heart of the show. But before I get into the show, just want to let you all know here, I'm trying to make the steps of becoming a full-time creator here in 2024. And by this time next year, I'm hoping that I'm a full-time creator on this platform. And what I have here is a wonderful site that I use called Buy Me a Coffee. You can go on there. I have membership levels. If you just click the membership tab, that's a monthly donation. And as that kind of builds up, I'm going to start putting some exclusive content on there for members. I got a couple that are supporting me there now. And if you want to make a donation, you can just go to this little spot here. It gives you all the denominations that you want to put in. You can put your name, and I always go back and make sure that I'm answering these as well too. So I do appreciate that. It's really, really good. And I have the link pinned up there above. So if you want to do that, you can make a donation through Buy Me Coffee or Super Chat or
pick a membership, whatever your fancy is. If not, sit back, enjoy the show. That's why we're all here. So let me get into the first document here that I want to pull up. And this dropped on the 22nd and was filed by Ann Taylor, Bryan Kohberger's lead counsel in his defense. And essentially what this is an interlocutory motion. If people don't know what that means, interlocutory is in legal term is a term. Interlocutory is used to indicate a lack of finality. For example, an interlocutory decree is a judgment that does not settle on all of the issues of the case, where the further action by the court is needed to settle the controversy. So essentially, it seems like maybe an appeal on legal terms. If I was to get into it, it looks like a little bit of a kind of a pushback here, and probably one of the last one of the close to last things to try to delay this trial even more. It's funny. The defense is constantly pushing back. I feel like the state is ready. I think they're locked in for this case. I think they have a lot to a lot to say. I think there's going to be lots of evidence that come out. I think there's going to be a lot of evidence that comes out that people's mouths are going to drop. I've been very vocal on my stance on Bryan Kohberger. I feel like the evidence is weighed heavily against him. And, I think in the end that the jury is going to make the right decision and we'll have justice for these victims. But I'll just read through this really quick. This was put in on the 22nd of December, and it says, "Come now, Bryan C. Kohberger, by through and his attorney, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, hereby moves the court for an order to seal defendant's motion to reconsider orders denying motion to dismiss indictment, and in the alternative for permission to appeal from interlocutory orders." Ooh, it sounds so interesting, so mysterious, that word, interlocutory orders, and the stay proceedings filed by the court on December 21st, 2023, pursuant to IRCA 32, dated this day, the 22nd of December, 2023. And you can see there, Ann C. Taylor, public defender, Coconino County public defender, her signature, and Ann Taylor, public defendant. And this is the motion to seal. And then you can see here, at the end, a certificate of delivery. So a little bit of motion going on in the case, little things to kind of perk your ears up, but another motion, essentially, in my opinion, to delay the proceedings, to slow things down, and, not to spend too much time on it. Not to spend too much time. All right, let's get into the demo of King Road. Obviously, tomorrow is going to be a very sad day. It looks like this is going to take course here. I've been very upset about it. I've been very vocal about it, and I can't find the tab that I want to bring up. Here we go. Scott Green seems to be the judge and jury on this now, and really has been vocal in speaking for the community, just putting it out there and saying, it's time to move on. And we've taken in consideration of everybody around us. Well, have you really, Scott? I mean, have you seen the outpouring and the outcries in the last, couple of weeks leading up to this? This really started around Halloween, when the prosecution went back into the Idaho home with the FBI, and they started doing resurveying and taking measurements and collecting possible new evidence. And, and then we found out the defense went back, and then Scott starts, we need to move on. We've considered, and I'm going to read the quote here in a little while, but I'm pissed. I'm truly pissed off as to what's going on here. I think this needs to be stopped. I think the King Road house needs to stand through trial, or at least until that jury walks through. I've made this point the other day, and I've talked a lot about this on my lives. It is a different thing when you are in that environment versus looking at a photo, a video, or trying to recreate it through a model. You're not going to get that same vibe. Think about it. I always say this, think about it in your own environments. What do your houses feel like? What does your bedroom feel like? What is it like being inside your car? That feeling. That feeling. Or, the feeling when you first maybe sit in someone's car on the passenger side for the first time, or when you buy a brand new car for the first time, or you move into a new house or an apartment. It feels weird. You can't recreate that. You can't recreate that feeling. You can't recreate that vibration that you get in that environment, the acoustics that are in there. And I think that house it needs to stand. I think this is complete bullshit. And you all should be just as angry as I am right now. So it says King Road House access given to Kohberger's defense. I think another thing that was a horrible decision is that house was just essentially given to the school. Why? You know, uh, why? So now they can make the ultimate decision about it. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's fair. And potentially tomorrow at 7 a.m. is what I'm hearing, Idaho time. The destruction and demolition is going to happen in the King Road house. And the only people that are going to be standing up singing and jumping in their chair is the defense, because it's ultimately going to help them. What if it's that 1% chance that they miss something in that house and then that house is torn down? You can't go back. How are you going to go back? Something may look different. I said in Steve in one of his Steve Gonsalves in one of the recent interviews that he's given. What if jurors are going to want to stand outside and look out and look through those windows and see, what can I see inside there? They're going to want to walk around to the back of that house and look at that possible point of entry. You can't recreate that. What does it look like from the street at eye level? When you get up onto that side where you can look into Maddie's bedroom, you can look into Kaylee's bedroom, you can look at that slider glass door looking down. When you're on that street and that slope and that street is up, I mean, when you're standing there, you're almost exactly eye level to that house. You can start literally looking in from windows as you walk by. What is that going to look like when that house is torn down? You can't recreate that. What are you going to do? You're going to put a fucking measuring stick up? Say, oh, the window was here. The sliding glass door was here. No, it doesn't have the same effect. It doesn't have the same effect. All right, let me do this really quick. Let me just do a quick housekeeping. Let's ease the chat a little bit here. Let's give them 10 seconds back. As the room grows, we'll do this. Okay. So let me go on to read this here. So we have King Road House access given to Kohberger's defense team, demolished, set for December 28th. This is on the University of Idaho page. December 14th, it was written on. Teams representing the defense for Bryan Kohberger will access the King Road House today and tomorrow, Thursday, December 14th, and Friday, December 15th. The defense asks University of Idaho in November for access to the house in December as they prepare their case for trial and a date which has not been set. The defense indicate that they want to take photographs, measurements, and possibly gather drone footage of the house. Follow this. The university will prepare for demolition of the house. Demolition will begin on Thursday, December 28th, and it may take several days to complete, clear the site. Media instructions for viewing the demolition are found below. The house was given to the university in the early 2023 and is a site where UI students Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves were killed. It has been the intention of the university since been giving the house to demolish it. And in his fucking Scott's great comment here. It is a grim reminder of the heinous acts that took place there. Absolutely. 1000%. I agree. He goes on to say, while we appreciate the emotional connection. Oh, you're appreciating the emotional connection. You're appreciating the emotional connection. Okay. Some family members of the victims may have to this house. Just some, not all. Where are you getting that from, man? It's time for the removal and to allow the collective healing of our community to continue. Really, Scott? Is it time? We haven't even had a fucking trial yet. We haven't even gotten justice for these victims, but it's time now to move on. Let's just make it go away. We'll erase it. Spring semester comes around. Memorial's there. Well, people going to come in and visit the memorial. What are they going to do? Going to have to spend some money. Restaurants, hotels. Why don't you bring the family by? Maybe they'll tour the University of Idaho and maybe make a decision to come here. Bring that tuition up. Get those tuition levels up. So why, Scott? Why can we just not hang on just a little while longer here? Let's give the opportunity to those families. Let's give the opportunity back to that community. And I've talked about this. Steve made a great quote, an excellent quote. It's better to have it there and not. It's better to have it there and not need it than when it's gone and then you do need it, and then you're in trouble. And what if it comes down to a certain measurement or a certain area of that house that the jury needs to go see? That could be the one thing that makes Kohberger either innocent or guilty. And that house is gone. We need another look at that. And that house is gone. You can't go back and redo it. You think you're gonna get that in a video or a photo? Maybe it's a certain angle that's not caught on video or in a photo. Says the decision to tear it down the home during the winter break was made as an attempt to decrease further impact on the students who live in that area. I get it. I respect it. I understand it. German construction of Moscow will be served as the general contractor to provide project oversight while we also perform site rehabilitation, grading, utility disconnection, and demolition assistance as to reduce costs of the university. In late October, the FBI accessed the house to gather additional data. As explained to the university, the scanning done by the FBI will allow them to recreate visuals, aids that could be used at trial. All those good old visual aids, not the actual building. Because of the gag order imposed by the court, no information or comment will be provided by the defense, prosecuting office, investigators, or law enforcement. Instructions for media attending the demolition. King Road will be blocked off to the traffic on street, parking suspended during the demolition, and debris removal. Lot 45, see the parking map, is available for media parking. Overnight parking is not allowed in this lot. Media will have access to view the demolition at the cul-de-sac at the south end of King Road. This is near the vantage point. Drones cannot be launched from the university property. Crews working on the demolition will not be available for interviews. Media contact. Gee, maybe we should write that person, Jody Walker, and tell her how we feel. It goes on to just give a little brief history about the University of Idaho. I'm angry. I'm really angry about this. Let's see. I have. All right, let's go here. Bear with me. I have a lot of tabs open tonight. I'm kind of struggling right now. All right, let's go to Banfield, News Nation.
I want to go to News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton for an update on where we are with the demolition plans. So, understandably, Brian, I don't think it's a secret that the people at the university they're so exhausted by the scar of that house on campus. And it's just off campus, but it's visible on campus. But the community online is a different animal. What's happening there?
Yeah, it's interesting actually. I don't think I've heard one expert who you have interviewed or one expert who I have interviewed who has said that they believe the house should be torn down. Everyone that we're talking to is saying the opposite. And that seems to be the consensus online too. I mean, there's now the petition that's been started. People are really, really upset about this and they don't understand it. They don't understand why you would tear the house down before trial. But it's interesting when you're on the ground in Moscow, and I was there last month, and this has been an ongoing issue. So I was asking students about it on campus. There is this sense in the small college town that they want the house gone. It's a painful reminder of what happened. Also, remember, Ashley, I mean, these are college kids. I mean, they want to move on with their college career. Yes, they respect the victims, and the candlelight vigil on the 1 year anniversary was packed with thousands of these kids. So they respect the victims, but in many ways they want to move on, and there's this sense that the town wants to move on.
I'd be so curious about the students at the University of Idaho in the criminal justice program who may
Yeah.
look at things a little differently than, say, somebody who's in law or in politics or commerce or something like that. So let's talk about the date. December 28th. I don't see any changes. I don't see anything from the university side of things where they're wavering like they have a couple times in the past. So what the choice of that date is actually pretty clever, isn't it?
It is, and the plan does seem set in stone in this time. I mean, you and I have talked about it. They've got the contractor lined up, they've got the media staging area, and the date. I mean, it sort of makes sense from their perspective. It's after Christmas, it's before New Year's. There's not a lot of people on campus during that time. I've been there around that time, and in the summer when the students are gone, I mean, it's almost like a ghost town. So it makes sense that they would want to do it then. They said it's going to take a couple of days. But in terms of timing, I went back looking through all the statements that we've gotten, and I went back to March 22nd, so 9 months ago. That was the first time I
Scott
saw
Green
that we
has.
had an email that was sent to the victim's
Scott
families.
Green
And I'm going to
has.
read you part, Ashley. It was from a lawyer at the University of Idaho who emailed the families and said, the homeowner gifted the house to the University of Idaho with the intent by both parties that it be demolished. So that was 3 months after Bryan Kohberger's arrest. And they already intended to tear that house down and said that it was the opinion of the homeowner and the university who had been gifted the house. So they've wanted this house down basically since the beginning, Ashley.
I just keep going back to the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school, where horrendous school shooting happened in 2018, and it was 4.5 years
Mm.
before the I call it the sort of the murder or the death penalty phase in the case was played out because the defendant pleaded guilty, so it just had to be a death penalty a phase that needed a jury, which was a couple months long. But they kept that school intact. I mean, just imagine those hallways with book bags scattered, bloodstains scattered. They did not clean up that scene. They preserved the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school scene for 4.5 years. Brian, I just found out tonight it's still not even demolished. The demo on that school isn't scheduled until summer of 2024.
Mm.
Another 6 months.
Yeah.
So you think about that case, and he pleaded. It was just a death penalty phase they needed to deal with there.
Excuse me. Oh boy.
That school, Ashley, by the way, that building is in the middle of the school campus there in Parkland, Florida. So there are kids that had to walk around that building every single day. Remember, this house is to the side of the campus. It's not right in the middle of the campus.
Right.
And in Parkland, they put these beautiful banners of the victims up, a big fence and beautiful banners of the victims. So when the kids walked around, they saw their beautiful faces. I don't understand why that hasn't been brought up in Idaho. I mean, they haven't put a big fence around the house or tried to block
Well,
off
they
the.
want to build that memorial on the campus grounds to bring people in there. I don't know why it's so hard to figure this out. That's what Scott Green wants. In my opinion, this is a money grab now. Because I initially thought that the memorial was going to be built on the site. That's what I thought. And I got corrected on it. It's supposed to be on the campus. How does that make sense? So, yeah, I mean, come on, let's wake up. We know what's going on here. It's so obvious. You're going to build it on campus to bring people in. And there's probably going to be hundreds of thousands of people that walk through that area. So, like I said, what's going to happen? Well, I got to go through town. I got to eat something. I got to stay somewhere in a motel. While we're out there, we're probably going to vacation. And if you have a son or a daughter that is of college age, well, why not come tour the campus? You're right here. Maybe we can get you signed up for a semester. So, I mean, it's very obvious.
Maybe honestly, maybe the looky-loo part of it, where they have crime tourists, which maybe at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, because it was a school shooting, maybe there wouldn't have been as many. I'm not sure. But one really quick question, and I'll have to wrap it, and that is there anything left? Any Hail Mary pass that anybody can present to put this demolition off?
Well, I've been talking to sources about that question, and there's one thing that I've come up with. It's called a civil action. It's possible that someone, perhaps the victim's family member, could file a civil lawsuit against the University of Idaho, and then as part of that lawsuit, ask for an injunction claiming that the house is potentially evidence. And if they do that, it is possible that they could keep the house standing. It's a big if. Also, it would be very expensive. I mean, I'm talking $100,000,
Wow.
maybe more, for a massive lawsuit. And
This
remember,
is
you're
what
up
I'm
against the
talking about.
University of Idaho.
That angle, as you come up to that house, as you get up this side road and you get close to that house, eye level, you can see different things being at that height.
Idaho, a ton of
You
connections in
can
that
gauge
town,
this space.
political connections. So it's a big if, but that is one possibility.
Oh, that's a good point, Brian Enton.
This is what I'm
Appreciate.
talking about right here. Look, you're almost eye level. You can get to see what people saw from that house. If the jurors have never been down there before and they want to go check this place out, it's gone. I want to get a feeling what it looks like from that road and looking over what it looks like behind that house. Once that house is gone, that's it. You can't do that.
that. Thank you so much. We'll continue to watch. As we said, the countdown is on right day. Thank you.
All right, that was Banfield. Let's go to this small video here. KTVB local. This was from 9 hours ago.
In just one day, the house where 4 University of Idaho students were brutally stabbed to death last November will be demolished. The house, what one of the victims' parents says is, quote, one of the most critical pieces of evidence in the case. The University of Idaho is moving forward with the demolition of the King Road house in Moscow tomorrow. The owner, who was renting out the home to the students at the time of their murders, gave it to the university in the spring. The demolition was scheduled for this week while school is out of session. U of I says they expect the demo to take just a few days.
The area where the house is located is very dense with students, and we wanted to do it at a time when they wouldn't have to be there to be a part of that. And so that fell to the winter break, making the most sense.
The university says they are demoing the house to try to help the community continue to heal from those brutal murders. U of I President Scott Green said, quote, we know that every action and decision around this horrific incident is painful and invokes emotions. That's why every decision we have made thus far is with the families of the victims and our students.
You haven't, Scott.
End quote. However, Ann Taylor, an attorney for primary suspect Bryan Kohberger, filed a motion all the way back in January pausing the demolition in order to preserve the crime scene as evidence. But that pause has since been lifted.
Of course.
Additionally, the families of 3 of the victims have vocalized concerns and their desire to preserve the house until the case is fully resolved. The family of Kaylee Goncalves, one of the victims, said in part, quote, that has been our question to the prosecution and the University of Idaho for the entire time the demo of the King Road house has been an issue. This is one of the most horrific crimes in the history of Idaho, and the University of Idaho wants to destroy one of the most critical
pieces of evidence
in the case, end quote. They go on to say that the fact that the demolition is scheduled to happen before Kohberger's trial date is even set speaks volumes. Bryan Kohberger still sits in a Latah County jail, charged for the murders of Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Goncalves. You can read more on this story right now at ktvb.com.
All right. Let's blast one up here. Let's talk about the civil suit. Going back to Banfield, News Nation, what you got to say?
Left until the biggest piece of evidence in one of the biggest murder trials of the decade is no more. I'm talking about the house on King Road in Moscow, Idaho, where 4 university students were brutally murdered in November of 2022.
Welcome in, everybody.
8 short days.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Is going to come down by order of the university that owns it.
If you're freaked out and put off by the name change, we did change the name of the channel. I dropped podcast. So now it's just known as LTL True Crime. I got a lot of work ahead of me to update logos and stuff like that, but eventually it will all get turned over. And I just think it sounds a lot more streamlined and snappy, and I'm enjoying it. So, all right, let's keep playing through here. Banfield.
With the consent of the state, as well as Bryan Kohberger's defense team. But as you may know, most of the victims' families are fiercely opposed to that house coming down. And tonight, the attorney...
it'll be 7 a.m. Idaho time, which would be, oh gosh, is it 9 a.m. Eastern? Am I right about that? Let's see. What is that? So 7 a.m. So it would be, oh, it's 10 a.m. Eastern. So 10 a.m. Eastern versus 7 a.m. I always say specific. It's Pacific time. Get it right, Brian. So that's what it would be. 10 a.m.
For the Goncalves and the Mogan families,
I would say
says
specific.
there still might be a way to stop
Pacific
it.
time.
Kernodle families are also part of that. That attorney says a civil suit.
Pacific time.
One that would also claim the King Road house as evidence in a civil case. Well, that might pave the way for an injunction to preserve the house. Months ago, the family's attorney, Shannon Gray, filed what is essentially a placeholder that reserves the right to sue various parties over the horrors that took place.
Just depends on where you're. I'm way on the East Coast, so it's 3 for me.
A suit like that going forward is what stops a lot of litigation. It's expensive, and money doesn't grow on trees. It takes a lot of money to fight that kind of action against a massive opponent like the University of Idaho. And if you think that the families raked in a whole bunch of money from their GoFundMe pages, they didn't. We checked it, and there's only 3 of them that exist. The grand total for all 3 families GoFundMes is less than $200,000. So unless some kind of big investor or fund ponies up, the chance of the Idaho house being saved is likely just talk. One place where it is being talked about, though, is the University of Idaho Murders Case Discussion Group. It's one of the biggest true crime pages on Facebook with about 227,000 members. And Christine Cameron and Alina Smith are the administrators, and they are kind enough to be here with me live. It's nice to see both of you again. Thank you for being on. Christine, let me start with you. What are the folks in the Case Discussion Group page saying about this issue?
Good evening, Ashley. Thanks for having us. So a lot of people are talking about whether the house should be demolished or not. And, you know, when you have a question of this magnitude, of course, you're going to have people on, you know, both sides of this argument. And, you know, both sides are compelling. Some say, you know, the prosecution and the defense have gotten what they need, so it should go ahead and be demolished. Others empathize with the college kids and feel that this is awful for the students who attend the university. You know, they are having to go in and day out and see that painful, constant reminder of that tragic event. And so it needs to go. Others feel that the focus shouldn't be about the university or the college kids there, but instead should be on justice. And these people want the house to stay, because even if there is that minute possibility of Kohberger potentially getting away with this, because evidence was destroyed, it should stay. And there is a real fear that Kohberger could get away with this. So for me personally, I think about other high-profile crimes where the juries have been able to go to the scene of the crime. It doesn't happen often, but I'm thinking, you know, O.J. Simpson, the Murdaugh murders, the Parkland, Florida school shooting. The juries went to these locations. And this is a high-profile case, and it has garnered worldwide attention.
Murdoch was just, a few months ago,
Mhm.
several months ago, but there was a jury visit in that as well. And we should just remind everybody that Kohberger, while there is very compelling evidence, and we don't even know the half of it yet, he is still innocent until proven guilty. So, Alina, let me ask you this. Have the members at all, and I have to be quick here, but have the members at all talked about raising money to help in this legal effort and to help the families mount a civil case?
Hi, Ashley. We did have one member that suggested to maybe raise money for like a loss, like a
And there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of petitions out there. I've been seeing a lot of them out there. There was a major one the other day. I think it had over like that was shared by the Gonsalves family that I think had over like 15,000. It's probably more than that now, but I've seen them all over the place just searching through Google. I mean, there's tons of petitions out there, like change.org petitions.
like a conjecture or something, like to help raise the money for all of the families to kind of put a stop to it. We do know that one of the families did kind of put something into effect called a tort several months ago, I think in May, which kind of allows them to hold something in place for a civil case. But really, they all need to like gather together and put something into effect. And something was presented on our page today by a member. And, they said, hey, you know what, if everybody wants to raise money, we're all here for it. And, let's put something into effect. And,
They've got 8 days, right? I mean, it is very last minute. This date is going ahead. And as Brian Enton reported, it doesn't look like this is that same issue as before where they've postponed. I have to leave it there. Christine Cameron and Alina Smith, thank you both. So nice to
All right, one more here, and then we'll get into Bluetooth again. Um, all right.
bring in Caitlin Becker. She's been reporting on this story from the beginning as well. Were you as surprised as I was when we got this announcement today?
I really was, Ashley. I thought after they had delayed and delayed and delayed the demolition of this home, they were just going to leave it until trial went through. But once Bryan Kohberger waived his right to a speedy trial and that October date was no more, the university just decided that this was time. It was time to happen. They don't want the house there. It's a really sad reminder of what happened. They don't kind of want those sort of tragedy looky-loos coming by. So it does kind of make sense, but I did think it would last throughout the trial.
I got word that, I've always been concerned about how the families are treated.
We kind of surveyed the other day. I saw an interview. It was like really like half and half. The students were kind of half and half on it. There was some people that were really, educated on the trial, and they're like, look, I feel like it should still be there, and the same points and reasons that I've been raising here over the last 3 days about it, that we haven't even gotten to a trial. If it's torn down, yada, yada, yada. And there are some people that are like, yeah, I think it is just a better idea to turn it down, tear it down. So it's been like 50-50, to be honest with you.
In all of this, that they get the
That's
information
just that
before
area,
we
but I'm
do.
sure
And I did
that
find out that
that's
they
like
were
all the
told at
case are like,
9:30 this morning.
no,
Do we have any
dumb
idea when the official announcement came out to the public?
The official announcement came out earlier today. I don't know the exact time and whether or not it hit the family before it hit the public. There was a press release up on the
I'm definitely
university's
too.
website that has been there
Sure.
kind of all day. But we do know that several of the families of the victims were really against the house being torn down. And I too am in that camp, having covered this story at the scene. I think there is a lot that can be gained from seeing the house in person. You kind of remove the opportunity for a future jury to be able to do a walkthrough or to see the scene should they want that.
Oh,
So
excuse
I
me.
definitely was in that camp that thinks perhaps it should have been there in case you needed it at trial for some reason.
So at the same time that this announcement comes out, and again, I think 9:30 this morning to tell the families this, and then almost simultaneously, maybe it's after, but come on, it's day of to tell the families. It just feels like it's quite a blow to them. This has been hard fought for them. And then on the same day, the defense is in there. Just the idea that the guy who potentially was in there, right? If he's guilty, he was in there. He created this horror, and his allies are in there today on the same day that the families find out it's going to be torn down. It's just a
Right.
lot to process. Do we know what they're doing exactly?
What they're doing with the house, they're planning on raising the home to the ground, and we don't know exactly what they're going to do with that space, but the University of Idaho does plan on putting up a memorial to the victims. I don't believe it's going to be at that space. I
Oh,
think
there you
they
go.
really want to try to.
It's a fucking cash grab. I mean, most of the time that I know, when a memorial is built, it's usually on the site that something happened, right? I mean, 9/11 Memorial, bang, right there in the heart of New York City, right where the Twin Towers are. Shanksville, bang, right there. It's they didn't take Shanksville and fucking move it into the town or the city. Here, come visit our memorial. You know, when memorials are built, it they didn't take Gettysburg and move Gettysburg and say, here, just drive out 10 miles and you can visit the Gettysburg battlefield. It's usually built in the same spot to memorialize the victims that happened in that exact spot. You know, I don't pass away and then I get buried in a graveyard and they bury me in one spot and they take my headstone and put it way over there and go, oh, well, if you want to visit them, just go up a mile up the road. You know what I mean? So again, it's very clear what Scott Green is trying to do out of this. They got the power from the individual that owned this house. They had it handed to them, to the university. And now Scott Green can say, come this way. Come stand on the campus. Come check out the campus. Spend some money while you're here. I think it's gross and I think it's ugly. And I'm just surprised that none of the families have come out and actually talked about this. And I'm sure there's other people that feel the same way. It's gross.
Deter people from going there in the future. And it's interesting, Ashley, as you said, this moment of this day and this timing, it makes me think of when the house will be razed to the ground. It should take a few days.
They did. They did agree. They did agree for it to happen. Okay. But I think probably the timing of it, they thought there was going to be a trial by then. And obviously we don't have a trial. So the scary thing is, and again, I've already talked about this. You demolish the house, you need to go back in there, you need to have the jury take a look at it. It's gone, can't do it. Now it becomes, and I just made this point, to me, it's a cash grab. Usually when a site, again, when something tragic happens and you're memorializing what happened, it's built in that spot. So what are they going to do? They're going to put a little plaque there in an empty field and say, oh, if you want to go see the memorial, it's at the university. Come check it out. You know that people are going to go to that site once that house is leveled and leave roses and cards, and they're still going to leave things there. And then there's going to be this big thing about, please don't leave your stuff there. If you're going to do it, go visit the university. That's going to happen. Please don't come to the site anymore. Go to the university to leave your tributes where the memorial is. People are still going to go to that spot. I don't know. I just don't get it.
After the
Doesn't make
28th,
any
which
sense
brings
to me.
us essentially to the 30th, which is the 1-year anniversary of Bryan Kohberger's arrest.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, and it sticks with me as well because it's the day. This will be the day before my birthday, and Kohberger's arrest was the day after my birthday. So, what a sandwich. So, what do we know about the defense team and what they had planned for today and for tomorrow?
Well, actually, we know they have already been to the house previously. They've already been to the property and inside, and they've taken, photos and done some tests with whatever it is that they garnered from there. And they're doing similar things today and tomorrow. They're getting inside, taking measurements, taking photos. I believe they also want to look into possibly doing some overhead drone footage. And those are the kinds of things they're doing within the next sort of 24 hours. And we also know that the FBI had been in there in November to similarly go back, do another walkthrough, take more measurements, take more photos. And I know that the FBI, according to the university, had gotten in there and really wanted to use some sort of devices to do visual reconstructions of the home that could be used at trial.
The idea that, again, Bryan Kohberger's people are in there, and it could be the second time that Bryan Kohberger's had a connection inside the house. Could be. Caitlin Becker, thank you for this. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, we'll get out of that now. Just give me 2 seconds here. Some housekeeping. 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 Let's see. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Bluetooth connection that I've kind of hypothesized and come across. And so let's see, where do I want to start? So back in February of 2023, there was a rumor, and someone actually brought something to my attention too. Oh damn, who was it? I forget things now that I'm older. And I just want to make sure I give the proper credit to her. Oh, who was it? Give me 2 seconds. I'm trying to figure this out. Who was it? She was watching the other night. She said, "Hey, did you realize this?" It was a channel, crime. I'm sorry if you're watching. I feel bad. Trying to go through my email real quick. But she made a good point, and I want to just make sure. Anyway, I can't find it, but I apologize, creator. Actually, I have her video pulled up. We're going to pull that up too. Crime sleuthing. I'm sorry. Crime sleuthing was in here the other day, and she talked about something, but I'm going to get to that point. So anyway, back in February of 2023, on the 12th, there was an article that came out from Newsweek, and News Nation talked about this extensively too. And I know I've done a lot of content about this, but I'm just kind of doing a precursor to the stream tomorrow night. I'm going to have a trained Bluetooth, I would say expert that worked for Verizon, understands how Bluetooth works. I'm very novice to it. I have a lot of questions about it, and I'm hoping that she can answer a lot of those. But this was back in Newsweek, and it talked about technology could place Bryan Kohberger at the scene of Idaho murders, ex-FBI agent says. And I remember hearing about this Bluetooth speaker that possibly was in Kaylee Goncalves' room. And I kind of forgot about it. And then recently, when I started watching the most recent Goncalves interview with Brian Entin, it was like bang. And I called it that aha moment when Steve started talking about the list of items that they took into evidence of Kaylee's. And he was like, laptop, they still have her phone. They talked very extensively about her phone. And then it was like, boom, in a Bluetooth speaker. And I went, I had a Scooby-Doo moment. And I went, thank you, Steve, for talking about that. Because it's such a crazy detail that was talked about, but then forgotten about. And it kind of rehashed my brain. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, there was that article I remember in February, and they still have this speaker. Why would they have this speaker and keep it in evidence? That doesn't make a speaker. That doesn't make any sense to me. So that tells me that there has to be some connection. If Kohberger, which he didn't, is the person that committed this crime, did he perhaps somehow ping or pair? Was he trying to connect to devices in that home? Did he accidentally connect to that device in the home? It just made a lot of sense to me. And I talked a lot about that in the video. So I kind of want to just go through that of how I came up with this, because I didn't really fully do that in the video. So anyway, we had the article that came out that talked about this possible pairing of this Bluetooth speaker. And it says in here, if Kohberger's phone tried to connect with a Bluetooth device, that's what all of our phones do. They're constantly trying to connect to whatever devices that are, whether they are a launcher, whether it is her home. that would go towards placing Kohberger physically or his cell phone at the crime of the scene, Tracy Walder said to News Nation. Now, this is what I need to understand, and I tried to do some reading about that, and I'm going to get kind of that point a little later. So I'm going to pause myself there. Let's walk through this. So I came up with, I went, aha. So I remember the article. I want to play you the conversation again with Steve and Christy. And then someone actually, Crime Sleuthen, remind me of something. And I'm going to play her video in a second. Hang on. I got a lot of tabs open tonight. I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, so let's get to this part here.
I just try to get through the weeks. I'm like, just get through the weeks,
And I get active. I get involved. I know that I can find
and I just
more
want to pull the covers up over my head and just be like, just leave me alone. Where are my dogs? Just.
I know you mentioned that that you guys wanted to get like her phone back. Is there anything else that like you guys were like, oh my gosh, I'd love to have this?
We asked for a list of the things that they had to take. Because we know of some things like a laptop, an Apple laptop, and a couple of things. We couldn't even get them to give a list. So
of things that they had. And maybe it sounds stupid, but I don't really know why Kaylee's phone is evidence. Like, what is on? So it makes me think, what is on it?
Yeah, that makes you go cuckoo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay. Yeah. What is on it?
Her speaker.
And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's back up here. And I was like, Carrie, he said the speaker. He said the speaker. And I was like, oh, why? If that speaker has nothing to do with this case, okay, has nothing to do with this case, then why is it in evidence? Why is it in evidence? Could this be another piece of equipment that places Kohberger in and around that house, inside that house? Why would it be there? It collected some kind of data. I'm telling you, it collected some kind of data, whether it was a possible connection. Maybe he was trying to connect the devices in that house and see what he could get out of those devices. Who knows? But if this didn't mean anything, if it had no anything to do with this case, then why is it in evidence? Why is it being kept? And that's the question. So let me just back up a little bit more. We'll play it and then we'll just play through a little bit. And then I'm going to get to my next segment here.
Top and a couple of things. We couldn't even get them to give a list. So
of things that they had. And
yeah, maybe it was an Alexa.
Maybe it sounds stupid, but
that's right. Maybe it recorded something. I've heard things. There was someone that was telling me that there was a murder that happened and it somehow triggered Alexa to turn on and actually recorded the whole damn thing. And I've even heard of things where Alexa has been in people's houses and they've talked about like their boss or their spouse, and it's recorded transcripts and emailed people. So we don't know what I want to know what the speaker was. Was it just something like a regular, just, I don't have one in front of me, but like one of those little dot speakers like this, or was it an Alexa device where it collected data? Gosh, that would be crazy if it was something like that. And they pull it up and they're like, his phone pinged, it connected here. This signal came through. I mean, that would be huge. That would be huge. But again, I go on the assumption, if this speaker has nothing to do with this case, then why is it in evidence? Why are they interested in that speaker? So to me, it's just another connection that puts Kohberger at that house. We have the DNA evidence. We're now starting to hear more about the data evidence. I'm telling you, I think it's it's a big thing.
I don't really know why Kaylee's phone is evidence? Like what is on? So it makes me think, what is on it?
Yeah, that makes you go cuckoo.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, okay, what is on it?
Her speaker, it's kind of unusual item not to give back. The laptops, multiple laptops, not just one. All electronics, it seems like they've kept of hers. So, and her bake records, her.
And that's the thing, is that people have to understand. And I think that people, and that's why I want to get some clarity in this tomorrow. Maybe I can, and maybe we don't, again, I'm not an expert, but Carrie said this earlier in the chat. And actually her and I were talking about this earlier before I went live. And I was saying, could this be some possibilities that happen? She said, you got to keep in mind the technology and the things that we use to connect to the internet or through Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. They're sneaky. There's a lot of things that are going on in your phone that these companies don't tell you about. Here you go. Here's a prime example. Think about when you go, oh, I think I'd love to have some pizza tonight. And then you go on Google and you're getting ads for Domino's, or you're on Facebook and you go, gee, a pizza right now sounds great. And you open up Facebook and there's an ad for a Pizza Hut, Domino's, whatever it is. So these things are sneaky. And they're doing little things behind the scenes all the time. So that's why I said, people come in and go, oh, you have to make a relationship. It has to pair and you have to pair it. You don't know that, and I actually have an article that's going to essentially prove that wrong. And that's why tomorrow when I have this expert on, they can probably tell me a little bit more about that. Is this true? What I read today, it seems to me that these devices are always just trying to connect. It sends little information out there. It sends that shortwave signal out there. That's what Bluetooth is. And it's saying, hey, can we connect? Let's have a relationship here. And that's how you pair it to that device. So maybe even just that pinging, it can record that somehow. Hey, it tried to connect here. And I'll read a little bit of that article in a second. So I just wanted to replay that. I thought that was really great. So now this got me thinking a little bit more. And a viewer reached out to me and made this excellent point. But before I do that, let's do this. Banfield had a expert on back in February. They talked about the Bluetooth speaker, and I just kind of want to go over that and hear a little bit more about it. And then I'll get to when my mind started thinking a little bit more.
I want to get into the nitty gritty. That's Clark Walton's space. He is a principal forensics and cybersecurity expert for Reliance Forensics. He's board certified in data security. He's a former cybersecurity analyst for the CIA.
Because I'm talking to my daughter now about college, and I get ads about college nonstop. And I shared a story the other day about there was a young lady that, what was it? She was just by her movements online, things that she was typing, things that she was talking about. And then all of a sudden she started getting ads for pregnancy tests and all this shit. And then come to find out, she takes a pregnancy test and finds out that she is pregnant. It's almost like the algorithm knew. The algorithm was figuring things out by what she was saying and Googling and all that stuff. It's insane. I hear stories like this all the time.
He's also a former prosecuting attorney. Mwah, chef's kiss. You are perfect, Clark, for this. Get me sort of on and off the ledge on this, because I always want to know that there's lots of evidence. If you're going to bring a guy in and charge him with quadruple murder, I want to know that there's lots of really good evidence. This would seem like it would put a guy right in the room alongside the DNA on the knife sheath. But why might it not work? Let's just look at the other side. Why might this not work?
Right. So your phone, as you know, when you're walking around with it, it is trying to talk to the rest of the world any number of ways, right? Bluetooth and your cellular antenna and near field communication. But it doesn't necessarily mean that those attempted handshakes that you just referenced are necessarily being recorded. Not every single action that your phone takes is necessarily going to stick with that phone. If a forensic examiner were to look at it days, weeks, months later, yes, that handshake could have occurred, but is there going to be a record of it on the device that a forensic examiner can pull back?
Okay, so let me take that one step further, and I'm going to just be full disclosure here. I am a complete idiot when it comes to this stuff. I have to hit all the buttons 100 times and then reset just to get something to work. But I do know this, my phone is connected to my Bluetooth speaker, and my phone knows when I go from portrait to landscape, and it keeps that as a record, as I learned in the Murdoch trial. What if Kaylee's speaker was connected to her phone?
See that? Your phone keeps an actual record of when you turn it from portrait to landscape mode. That is insane. So it knows all those things. And let's just say it's in airplane mode. It's still going to collect that data, those changing. I'm telling you, they've got a lot on this guy, and they're going to pin him down hard.
Phone, because presumably they're all up on the 3rd floor, right? You're going to have your phone upstairs when you go to bed, even if you're 50 feet away in the other bedroom. Will that perhaps keep a record?
That would keep a record. And so have you ever noticed, you'll spend a night in a hotel and you'll not come back to that hotel for months, and then you'll go back to that hotel and it will automatically connect your phone back to Wi-Fi like you'd been there the day before.
Well, here's another possibility. There were rumors that possibly Kohberger might have went to a party there. How do we know that he wasn't inside the house during a party? He snuck his way in and maybe tried to connect to one of those devices or connected to one of those devices. Again, I'm just throwing that out there. Another theory out there. His phone, I'm telling you, they wouldn't keep the speaker in evidence if it didn't mean anything in this trial. I guarantee it. I think you're going to see a lot of digital forensic evidence in this case. I think there's a ton of it there.
Before. Your iPhone does keep a record of what Wi-Fi networks you've connected to, certain information about those networks, the name, the password, the last date and time, importantly, potentially for this case, the last date and time that phone was connected to that Wi-Fi network. And the same works for Bluetooth as well. It keeps a listing of Bluetooth assets that you have connected to at a certain point in the past in time. So let's say hypothetically, at some point in the past, Kohberger's phone had initiated or completed a handshake with really any other device in proximity to that house, coming back in close proximity to that house, even if the phone were in airplane mode, as was pointed out, that Bluetooth connection may likely still be enabled, and that handshake could occur. That evidence would stay on the phone, and that's something that a forensic examiner could later take and say, yes, this phone was within Bluetooth communication of this speaker.
I want to go back here and just listen to that a little bit.
That house, even if the phone were Bluetooth assets that you have connected to at a certain point in the past in time. So let's say hypothetically, at some point in the past, Kohberger's phone had initiated or completed.
There. That's the word I wanted. See, everybody, you've been wrong. The people that have been yelling at me. Okay. No, you need to pair it. You don't. And that's what I wanted to hear him say. So that just answered my question. And the funny thing is, I wrote this down, and here was my question. So I'm wondering if that initial conversation, which they call like in Bluetooth. So I'm wondering with the initial conversation logs, would it log any type of device trying to connect to it and save that info? And then I have another note that says, and this was what Carrie and I were talking about, is tech is sneaky. It even logs if there is a he just said it, a relationship. I think that was the word he used. Let me go back and hear it.
In the past in time. So let's say hypothetically, at some point in the past, Kohberger's phone had initiated or
initiated. So what I'm saying, when my Bluetooth is on, okay, and I've shown this before, God, I love when things like this come together because it just proves my point. Right now, my phone is in Bluetooth. It's pinging every single Bluetooth device that is on right now. And it's going, can I connect? Can I connect? Can I connect? And I'm guarantee you it's logging that information somewhere, either on the device itself or on this phone. So let's just say this. Even if Kohberger's Bluetooth was on, which we found out, even in airplane mode, your Bluetooth and Wi-Fi will still, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi will still try to ping. It's pinging. I'm wondering if they held that speaker and said, well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he didn't connect, but it caused an initiation. And here's the log to prove it, that he was in that area. And maybe they have a log on the phone. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a techie guy when it comes to this stuff. And tomorrow night, some of that stuff can be answered a little better. But that's what I'm leading to believe. And I'm going to read a portion of an article here in a second. So it's still right now, my phone is still trying to make a relationship with all these devices that are around me. And you can see it not connected, but it's still pinging those devices. It's saying, hey, let's hang out. Let's have a relationship here. And then when you pair it, it locks in that Bluetooth. And believe it or not, it continues to oscillate frequencies, because I read about that today. I think it was like 16 or 1600 times it'll try to change frequencies as it's staying connected. So this made my point. I knew I wasn't crazy in this.
Or completed a handshake with really any other device in proximity to that house, coming back in close proximity to that house, even if the phone were in airplane mode, as was pointed out, that Bluetooth connection may likely still be enabled, and that handshake could occur. That evidence would stay on the phone, and that's something that a forensic examiner could later.
And that's the thing, is like earlier I saw a young lady in the chat, and I don't know if she's here anymore, but she came in to like argue the point and go, no, you have to pair it. I'm like, you don't. These devices are always looking and searching and trying to connect with things. You know, that's why they don't have a designated off button on iPhones or Android devices. It doesn't want you to turn the phone off. It always wants it to be activated and searching and looking. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of this shit is getting a lot of these criminals in trouble now because they carry their phone. You know, and someone jokingly said the other night, hey, if you want to commit a crime, just leave your phone at home. But you really can't do that either, because it's going to know that your phone was purposely left there, and they find some DNA at the scene. Yeah, but I was at home. My phone was there. Yeah, but we have your DNA at the scene. You know, but you know, I know how to turn my iPhone on, but it doesn't want you to turn it off. That's why they took that option off the iPhone. We used to have a dedicated off button. Okay. And the other thing that they took away as well too is the ability to take the battery out of the phone. Remember your old flip phones when it used to fuck up? You have to reset it. You take the battery out and pop it in. They don't want you doing that anymore. I don't have access to my iPhone battery. You know, I'd have to go through the screen to do it. I've done it. I've cracked screens and had to change batteries on this one. But, you know, that's what I want to wake people up to. You know, wake up, because not everything that you hear is just there. You got to look into it a little bit. And, you know, I knew that it would still initiate a pinging. It's probably not called a ping, but Villain, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate it. And Carrie just dropped 5. Let's read off the new members. Mama Jess, Penguin Mama, a lot of mamas tonight. Latoya, PA, and Lori S. Welcome to the membership group. Carrie, thank you so much for your contributions. I appreciate that. But I'm glad we're getting clear on that, because that's the question I wanted, the main question I wanted answer. And then hopefully tomorrow, this expert that comes on can clear a little bit more up. You know, I have a lot more questions. All right, let's keep playing through this, and then we'll get to how I got finally to this and figured it out.
Take and say, yes, this phone was within Bluetooth communication of this speaker, this microwave, this, you know, thermostat, that type of thing at this point in time.
This is probably a yes or no, but if the speaker is turned off, does it still emit a Bluetooth signal, or is off when it comes to
off is off? Off is off.
Okay. How about the car? Let's talk about this 2015 Elantra. Some people have said they don't have the infotainment system. Some people have said they do. So maybe it's kind of, you know, haphazard on the 2015. But if Kohberger gets into his Elantra with his phone, right? Because he's driving. We already know he had his
He was
phone with
driving
him because
around.
well, at least according to the authorities,
What was he doing?
he is driving out of Pullman or around, Pullman at 2:48, 2:47, I think I said the time was. Look, 2:47 a.m. And then he, hauls back in and is back online. He basically turns the phone back on or does whatever at 4:48 a.m. If he's in that car,
5
is
more
it going
memberships
to
coming through.
handshake
Thank you for being
him
here.
to the car? Because right now we know
Appreciate everybody being here tonight. 5 more memberships coming through. I want to just thank everybody for the recent growth in the channel. I mean, the last 48 hours have been crazy on this channel. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all the activity, all the new people coming into the lives, making this channel where I want it to go. I want to continue to grow this. I want to do this full time. And I've said this a lot, and I've been saying it a lot because I want to live my dream by the end of 2024. This time next year, I want to be completely free and clear of my corporate job. I want to be my own boss, and I want to be a fully functional independent media channel. That is my dream. That's what I want to do. I'm going to practice my craft and get better production on the shows and better material. And we're going to look into things a lot deeper. And I can't do that without all of you. Just subscribe. That's all I ask. Subscribe, come to the lives when you can, upvote, comment. That helps move this channel. And I appreciate it. My mods appreciate it. And my OG subscribers appreciate it. People that have been here through my journey the past almost 10 months, what we've grown. 10 months ago, I was at 2,000 subscribers. I just turned 13,317 today as of right now. This journey's been amazing. It's been so fun. And I love being here with all of you. I have such a passion to do this. And believe me, I will continue to learn. And I'm not right all the time. I fuck up, but we learn from our mistakes. And when I say that I'm wrong, I say I'm corrected. And I try to learn from that. So thank you all for being here. I really, truly appreciate it. And I just gave away 5 new members. So let's call on those people as well. Jamie J, LJ Hollow, Jennifer Brown, Tamra, and I think we had one more. I think that might be all of them, but welcome. And Jackie C, welcome as well. To the memberships. If you're going to get access to all the members only lives. When you go on my homepage, you can scroll over the bottom. There's members only content there. You are now part of that. The only thing I ask is these are gifted memberships. At the end of the month, if I can just get you to sign back up, and you don't even have to sign up for the $4.99 that you just got. There's a $1.99 option that gives you all the access to everything here. That's all I ask you to do. Okay, let's keep playing through this.
Elantra that belongs to him was at the murder scene, and a defense attorney will say, who was driving? Did you see him behind the wheel? But if his phone connected to his Bluetooth and went to the murder scene, now that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, there may very likely be a record of that. I mean, the data that I've seen in the public record is based of where he was is based on the cell tower pinging, the location, which is much less accurate and much more, covers a greater area than the Bluetooth communication. Obviously, you have to be much closer to a device to ping off of that with your phone. And there are records of that kept in the device, in the phone. Sorry, I'm looking down at my iPhone here, I guess expecting it to do something. But yes, I mean, we have seen we've worked other types of cases, other types of homicides.
Kimmy says his interest in that cloud forensic internship, more than likely he took a digital forensics course within his PhD program. Aha. So Lucy's putting up a comment as well too. Thank you for the 3-month support. I appreciate it. Hey, look into blue jacking and blue snarfing. Maybe that's something that actually Kimmy's going to be on tomorrow. 5 years experience in the field. She sent me a resume. She said, I don't want you to think I'm loony. She's going to come on for a little while and talk a little bit about Bluetooth. So you're not going to want to miss that. Maybe she can answer some of your questions. I know I'll have questions. I think it's going to be a great show. She's a little nervous. I told her, don't be nervous. Do not be nervous. We're super laid back and chill. And we'll go at her own pace and stuff like that. So I even appreciate, thank you for reaching out and doing that. I verified her. She's actually talked live with Gray Hughes Investigates before. She had wonderful segments with him over there. So I think it's going to be a great show, and we'll follow up on this Bluetooth. She said, I can explain exactly what bluejacking and blue snarfing is. Perfect. We want to hear about it. And I think it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. So show Kimmy some love in the chat. She's a little bit nervous. She wrote me an email today. She said, hey, I'm a little nervous. I said, don't worry about it. I said, we're going to be fine. You're on a safe panel. And, we won't let anything happen. And I think, if you have anything, Kimmy, anything you can email me, a demonstration or a training exercise or training pamphlets or anything like that, send that to me. I'll pull them up and we can talk about it. If you have any information like that, or maybe a website that you prefer that we can go to, any training exercises or something like that, please email it to me. We'll bring it up and we'll talk about it. All right, let's get through this and then we'll get to how I kind of figured all this stuff out.
Cases where car accident cases, a lot of times you'll see a Bluetooth was activated and started playing music or something like that. And then a car accident occurs
awesome,
moments
Kimmy.
later.
Let me
That's
look
a
at
fairly
it.
common thing to
Great.
see.
It fascinates me to think that somebody could think, well, I'm just going to turn my phone off and I'll go dark.
Nope.
But that phone stayed more than likely
Yes.
light if it were connected to the car.
Yep.
And then that car continued on its merry way. So the footprint would continue even though the cell towers lost him. All of this allegations, he has the right to remain innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But man, this evidence, it's pretty fascinating stuff. Hey, Clark, thank you for this. I said you were the right person and I was right. Will you come back again?
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
It's crazy. I mean, it's just one of the small details that have been forgotten about. And I'm like, oh my God, when this came up the other day, I was like, oh my God. And I was like, I finally found this connection I've been looking for, because when the article first came out, it said a source. And I'm like, all right, a source. And then Steve said it, almost a year later. And I'm like, oh my God, the speaker. And I'm like, here it is. Here, this might be another piece of really critical evidence. And that's why I say, and I keep saying, if this speaker doesn't mean anything in this case, then why is it in evidence? Why is it there? There had to have been something.
On the other
there.
hand, Murphy was put into Kaylee's room, most likely by the killer, and closed into that room and discovered there by the police. So our source, who has intimate knowledge of this investigation, told us about this Bluetooth speaker. And if you do some of the digital math, if Bryan Kohberger...
and now it leads me to believe... Let's think about this one. Let's quarterback this one really quick. Who could be Banfield's source? Type it in the chat. Who do you think Banfield's source was on this months ago? Now, with what we know, and I'll give you a little hint. I'll wait and see what you all think in the chat. Who do you think was Banfield's source like 10 months ago on this? Yeah. Let's see him. Yep. Exactly. Because now that we know, I think Steve was telling her stuff. Because he's confirmed it. He confirmed it in the interview. And I'm going to tell you, I think Steve knows a lot more than he's saying. I think they know. I think the Goncalves family know they got this guy dead to rights. I think they got him locked in. I know at least Steve does, because he's an IT guy. But I'm telling you, I think he's got Kohberger locked in. And there's another thing that we forgot about that I'm going to bring up that Steve talked about in an earlier interview. And that was the video I was talking about, crime sleuthing, but we'll get there. But yeah, our boy Steve, I think that was the one that was given some information. All right, let's go back here.
Took his phone into that house, and he very well may have, if he's the killer, he may have thought himself so darn clever that just putting it on airplane mode would mask everything, shut off every single digital piece of footprint. It's on airplane mode. Nobody can see me now. Unless, of course, it reached out to a Bluetooth device, if there were a Bluetooth device nearby, which now we know there was. So I've got a lot of reporting on that, and I've got an expert who's going to walk you through all the
Hey,
steps.
real quick, can you all do me a favor? Since we got some new faces in here, I'm gonna drop a link to a musical artist. I would love, and actually, he's gonna be helping me out. He's in the chat. I saw him a little earlier. He goes by the name Massacre. He's a local Massachusetts rap artist and owns a couple of retro gaming stores around here. I'm gonna drop his link. Check out his YouTube channel. I love his rap. I love his music. He's actually going to help me using the original intro. He's going to do some rapping over it. I said, hey, can you put a song together for me? And when he gets some time, I told him no pressure. He's gonna do an intro song for me, which will be badass. But please do me a favor, sub to his channel. I'm trying to get him monetized. He's at 937 right now. Let's get him to 1,000. He deserves it. His channel's been up for a long time. I want to start getting some activity. He's going to have some really big announcements coming soon. And I really want everybody to be tuned in. He's a great hip hop artist. Check him out. I'm sure you're going to like his music. It's really, really good. And I've told him that since day one. I think he's a great lyricist. He's a great rapper. And you know, he's in the game, and he's rapped with some really high profile people. So check out his channel. Let's sub to him. Let's get him over that 1,000 sub mark. Get him some monetization on there, and get his channel moving a little bit. Yeah, and you should reach out to him. He owns in Massachusetts. He just opened a brand new spot in Plymouth, Massachusetts. I think both locations are named Bowser's Basement. And I used to go and visit him a lot. I've bought a lot of retro gaming stuff through him, and he was very easy to work with and get deals. I completed, minus one cart, I completed a full Nintendo NES gray market set. Geez, probably half of it through him, probably more than that, 60% of it. Held on to it for a little while, sold off the collection, bought a BMW, you know, all that fun stuff. But it still tickles my funny bone, Massacre. I might be checking in here pretty soon and trying to get back into some collecting. But anyway, sub to his channel. Give him some love over there. He's a great artist, and he needs some sub help. All right, let's keep playing this here.
Of why that may or may not work, but the key here is may. It just may. So that's just one more critical piece
of
a prosecution's case.
Actually just was talking about you a couple of minutes ago. I want to thank you for sending over the video. I'm going to play that video in a second. And again, go check out Crime Sleuthin'. If one of my mods can grab the link, let's drop that. Give her a sub over there as well. She actually reached out to me and said, hey, I have this video. You should check this out along with your Bluetooth stuff. And it was another forgotten detail. So thank you for doing that. And again, let's play through this video.
Because if you lose one and you only have one, you may lose it all. Bloody glove. If it don't fit, you must acquit.
Yeah.
All sorts of stuff like that happens in a case. The most critical piece of evidence can be denigrated, and a jury can be convinced, maybe not reasonably, but they can be convinced that it's not good evidence. So the more the merrier, you might say. A couple of things that you should know as well. There's something called a handshake.
Nice.
That devices actually give out.
951.
And when
he's at 951. We got to get him to 1,000. So spread it out there. Drop his link to people. Let's get him to 1,000. Let's get him monetized. And then Maska, if you have any questions about your YouTube channel, reach out to me when you get monetized. I'll get you set up with everything, and I'll give you some pointers. But let's get that channel moving over there. Your music needs to be out there, bro. All right, let's keep playing.
When you put your device on airplane mode, it doesn't mean you can't connect to Bluetooth. You're not going to reach out to the Wi-Fi. You're not going to reach out to the cell towers, but you can reach out to Bluetooth. And you might not even know it's happening.
I'll have some more Turtle Boy stuff soon. You know that. I'm not giving up. I will continue to talk about it. And the bigger thing is spreading Karen Reed's case, talking about it. I heard a rumor out there that Karen's case, or the hearing on the 5th, is being delayed. I can't confirm it. I did see a piece of paperwork. It was a very small motion. I can't find it on the Massachusetts, what the hell is it? Massachusetts record site. I cannot find it. I need to find out if that is confirmed, because I heard it as a rumor right now, and I'm seeing a document. I'm not sure if it's true or not. So I will be following up on that. But let's get back into this.
Kohberger
Sorry, my
were
Idaho
driving
fans.
around in that Elantra, switching it to airplane mode
Yes,
as he
my
got
second
out
channel.
of
I'm trying to get
Pullman,
that monetized.
and felt as though it was still in airplane mode as he pulled into Moscow, and still in airplane mode, perhaps in his hip pocket as he walked into that house. We got news for you.
Okay.
There's action. Those things actually don't stay dormant.
Okay, Micro Kimmy, thank you for the 10.99. I appreciate it. She says, I believe there's a cell phone on the ground by evidence marker 3 outside possibly Kaylee's. Maybe he was trying to erase messages he sent to her. If that's if I'm being blind, but this is all conjecture. That's a great point. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that tomorrow. I think I can source out those photos of the markers. They're probably out there somewhere. I haven't seen them in a while. If not, I know Carrie has a very extensive Idaho file. Maybe she can get those to me tomorrow. We can bring them up and take a closer look. Again, this is why I like going over this stuff, guys and ladies, because sometimes cases get so far away from us that we forget little details, or we look back into something and we go, aha. And that was my Bluetooth video. And that's why I'm kind of beating this into the ground right now. I know I've done 4 or 5 live streams about this and people are like, you already talked about it. But we learn more along the way as we continue to talk about things. And that's what I always say, if you're on a hot topic, keep exploring it, especially when we have a live platform like this, because you will get other people. Just because necessarily I did this stream 4 nights ago doesn't mean that that person that's here tonight saw that. YouTube, people understand there are billions of channels on YouTube. There's billions of channels and billions of content. I probably have new viewers every single night. I know I do, because I ask them, is this your first time here? Yeah, it's my first time. So they haven't seen what I've done 4 days ago. And that's why I'm circling back and doing this stuff to keep it in the minds of people, to get their minds thinking. And then you never know. You might have an expert in Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or iPhones that pop in your chat and say, I can answer that for you. Perfect example here, Micro Kimmy. Look, I know about Bluetooth. I'd be happy to share some things with you. Will you come on the panel? Absolutely. She's called into Gray Hughes before and had very great discussion with Gray Hughes. So, this is why we continue to do this. And again, if you're bored of it, don't watch the stream. Catch the next one, But right now, for me, this is a very hot topic. And I think it needs to be talked about. I think this is a forgotten detail. And this could be a very big detail. When that goes to trial and we start hearing all of that evidence, all of the things that put Bryan Kohberger in that location, this could be a huge detail. And I'll feel great that I talked about it at this length. For crow's sake, what if the Bluetooth speaker is the nail in the coffin and puts him right there and there's not any reasonable doubt about it? I'll feel good that I figured that out, So again, we just go over it. I like doing this. I know, you've talked about this 40 times. Well, yeah, I'm going to keep talking about it. Just like all the other thousands of Idaho streams. You don't think that people sat on the grub truck for 10 months and talked about that? They're still talking about it. You know how many streams I did on that? 0. I did 0 on that. I didn't feel it was that relative. And they sat there and they go, did you see it? Did you see him? See how he turned? See his eye move? He went like this with his nose. Did you see it? See what she said? She mouthed something to him. Did you know the food that she ordered? It was a hot dog. They're still doing that to this day. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. All right, let's play this.
And here's something critical. Early in this investigation, in the first, week plus, when we were still getting public news conferences, the Northwest Public Broadcasting reporter named Lauren Patterson was sitting in the press corps, and she asked a question of the authorities who were conducting the news conference. And man, oh man, did that girl have insight to ask a clever question. Have a look.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate you being
curious if the Wi-Fi hotspot has been tapped at all. It's possible if the suspect had their phone on them, it may have pinged off the Wi-Fi in the residence. Has that been checked on at all?
As I stated, our investigation is looking at every avenue of every piece of evidence that we can.
He's like, yup. Oh, did I say that?
Every avenue of every piece of evidence of, okay, I get it. They're not going to say it there. And they didn't say it for
Do me a
4
favor. How many people tonight is their first time here? Can you just type first inside the in the chat? I just want to know how many first timers are here tonight, because we know it's your first time. Yeah, Just a Girl says, I love your grub truck observation impersonation. Yeah. Did you see it? Did you see him? He went back. It was the guy there, the hoodie guy, blah, blah, blah. For months. And they're still talking about this on Twitter the other day. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You gotta be kidding me. But yeah, if it's your first time here with LTL, let me know. Pretty Bug with a first. Awesome. Happy. Thank you for being here. Cool. Good stuff. We're pulling in some new viewers, some new subscribers, some new believers. We keep everything truth. We don't do conspiracy crap here. You're not going to find that. We do everything to the legal documents. Crime Sleuthin says, I highly recommend this channel. One of the best resources. Thank you, Crime. I appreciate that. All right. Rose's first time. And I love it. People aren't afraid to speak up. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Interesting. All right, let's get through this video, and then I'm going to tell you how this. I'm going to bring the Wi-Fi into it too, because I totally forgot about it, and I got to give Crime Sleuthin some credit on that. And if one of my moderators can just grab her link and drop it in, let's get some subscribers over to her channel as well. I appreciate that for bringing up the Wi-Fi. Okay, let's finish this.
months. But now we know. Source close to the investigation saying a Bluetooth speaker was discovered by the police in Kaylee's room. I want to bring in our senior national correspondent, Brian Enton, on this. Brian, there's so little that we know about the actual investigative pieces inside the house. We have the affidavits. We have a brief narrative, like a little tippy top of the mountain, right? Affidavits are giant. There's so much that could be in them. But the probable cause doesn't have to be, right? You can just give enough to get an arrest. You don't have to give the whole narrative. That's for trial. That's for later. So the fact that we know that there's this device mere feet from where these girls were killed, from where that killer walked,
Awesome, Patrick.
and
Thanks for being
even
here.
Closer, because that's where
Great.
Murphy
Thank
was
you for being
closed
here.
in. It's a significant
Danny, thank
piece
you.
of the puzzle.
I hope you return.
It is. It's really interesting, Ashley. I've been
Real quick, I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you one thing in my show. I play videos, I stop them. I might have a spontaneous thought. I don't play videos all the way through. If you want to watch the video, I just say, seek out the source, watch it on your own. But I do stop, one, because I always have thoughts that come to my head and I interact with the audience a lot. Okay. So I just want to make those ground rules for you all. And also, because of fair use, we have to pause and talk as well too. So please get used to that. That's something that I do here. I love to interact with the audience because you all make the show. And I might be on something. You might bring an idea or a question that kind of tailors the show. I kind of move to the flow of the chat. So that's what makes it fun. So every night is different. Every night is different. What I was going to say is I want to make sure that everybody understands, for all you first timers, if you love what you're watching tonight and you love my content, and please explore my content on my page. I think you'll love it. But also, I want to make sure that everybody understands, I know YouTube is very bad about getting notifications out to people, and you probably have your bell notification turned on. If you're not getting my notifications, make sure that you just put a mental note. Mark it right now. 10:06 p.m. LTL True Crime Podcast. Actually, a drop podcast. LTL True Crime. Brian told me 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is my normal time that I stream. I'm usually here every single night. Usually, if I don't have to work, I am here. So make sure that you keep that as a mental note. And I do pop-up streams, and I understand you might not get them, but just make sure the live show every night is 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Micro Crimmy, thank you so much for the $1.99. You're so kind. She said, G family, we're first boots on the ground. Listen to Steve. I completely agree. Completely agree. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's play through this. I always tend to
on your every word. And it's interesting, while you were explaining it all, I pulled my phone out, and because I thought to myself when you first started talking about it, I'm like, oh, you just put your phone on airplane mode. He probably did that allegedly, because police say that he did that in other instances with
You're
his
welcome.
phone.
Thank
So I put my phone on airplane
welcome.
mode sitting right here, and I'm no expert, but
Little
I noticed the Bluetooth
jacks have
stayed
had
on.
COVID or the
The
flu,
Bluetooth stayed
whatever,
on, which made
but
sense
I'm
because when I
getting
go on
over
the
it.
plane and I put my phone on airplane mode,
Recovering.
I can still use my AirPods. So yes, this could be really, really significant. And you make a good point. I mean, just because it's not in any of the paperwork we've seen so far, they only really had to put the bare minimum in some of that paperwork. And the FBI was out there. We saw them every day. And they would be the ones probably going and trying to match up some of these devices. So it's really interesting.
So here's the thing. We now know for sure that Kaylee had a Bluetooth speaker in her room. But we can also surmise, because these are
I don't think
students,
so.
these are
I have to
university students,
disagree.
they've got laptops and printers and keyboards and
I
mouses.
mean, we just kind of proved that tonight. Okay. So speaker, Bluetooth speaker in evidence. Again, if it has no connection to this case, then why is it in evidence? I have to ask you that. Are they just holding on to it for a placeholder, a coffee table conversation piece? No, there is some connection to this case and that speaker. So I have to disagree with you. And we get people that disagree. It's fine. A lot of people don't like the Goncalves family. For whatever reason that is, I don't understand. Because I'm sorry, and I have to ask you, if you were put in this position and your daughter or a family member was brutally murdered in this said way, and your daughter was lost, wouldn't you be out there screaming at the top of your lungs for justice for her? You would just go in your house and be quiet. You wouldn't want to get in front of the media and put information out there to make sure that the person that did this goes away for the rest of their life, or in the state of Idaho faces the firing squad for what they did to your family member. That family member is gone forever. Their life stops forever. This is always with them. And people vilify them and call them sons of bitches. I don't get that. You feel good about that? At night when you lay down in your bed after you've said those vile things about a family that lost their daughter in such a brutal way and their 3 roommates in such a brutal way? It's just an odd way of thinking. Very odd. All right.
And many of those are also Bluetooth devices. But that's just the tip of the iceberg too. There's so many more things in a home that could be Bluetooth friendly to a handshake.
Yeah, if you think about your own house, I mean, there's a ton of things with Bluetooth. We have a list we're going to go through and show you. Pull it up here. I have it on my phone. I wrote them out. AirPods.
There's the credentials. I think he's very mad at me. But that's okay. We'll keep going on.
Keyboards, computer mice, wireless headsets, laptops, iPads, tablets, Kindles, computer printers, smartphones, of course, because they have AirDrop, Apple Watches, TVs,
microwave,
speakers,
everything.
cable boxes, video game controllers, washers, dryers, refrigerators. I mean, if you've got one of these souped up new appliances, they've even got Bluetooth and even air conditioners and purifiers. So it might not just be the Bluetooth speaker. I mean, you've confirmed the Bluetooth speaker, Ashley, but there may be way more.
There could be. And the issue, I think, is for so many of us, especially people over a certain age, is that you actually don't remember what you leave enabled and what you don't. And there are, certain settings on Bluetooth, like you just said, you flicked it on and it was on, and you may not even have remembered. And that's a key piece of this. It has to be on, but how do we remember out of the dozens of things in our homes, what we've left on and what we've turned off?
Yeah, and can you imagine if they connect Kohberger, if his phone connected to several of these devices? I mean, that would be huge.
Yep.
Thank you for watching.
I think they're going to prove that. I ultimately think that's going to prove him and put him inside that house. If they're going to get away with trying to squash this DNA like the defense has been trying to do. I think ultimately, it's going to show a big relationship. That speaker is key. I'm telling you. Mark it right now. Remember this in your brain. That speaker is going to be key. They're going to find out that it had a relationship. If not paired with it, it had a relationship with that speaker. His phone had a relationship with this. Okay. So let me just bring up the Wi-Fi. Crime Sleuth and sent this to me and said, hey, maybe you forgot about this too. But remember, a long time ago, Steve talking about actually said the Wi-Fi connected. And there was a video. And again, Crime Sleuth, and you can go over and check out her channel. But we'll get this little portion of the interview.
Sickening, I'm sure, to see the information that came out in the affidavit about how he had been by the house multiple times prior to the murders as well. I don't know if you guys knew that early on.
Yeah, and close enough that he was touching their Wi-Fi. That his phone was touching their Wi-Fi. Yeah, so you know how close that is. If you've had a laptop, you walk out in your front yard, you're not going to get too far. So
I don't think I saw that part. Wow.
So that's a detail that I actually forgot about. I forgot about the Wi-Fi. So if you have him, let's say the possibility, nailed on Wi-Fi, that touched that router, now you have a relationship with Kaylee's Bluetooth speaker that could put him potentially right inside, obviously land him right inside that room or at least outside that house. And here was another theory I had about the speaker. So let's go back to the August 16th noise complaint. What were they called about? Loud noise. What was the loud noise? Loud music. What would loud music be played through? A speaker. Now, I'm not saying it's Kaylee's speaker, but let's say it's one of those portable speakers and she brought it down into this area. It's like a communal speaker. And let's say it was in the kitchen at that time and everybody's, can connect to it when they're home. What I said was, let's say that communal speaker is there. And one of those 12 times, Kohberger had the balls to come up to that slider or closer to the house. And he started to create that relationship with that Bluetooth device. Speaker's on, his phone is on. Bluetooth, just like we found out from the expert that was on Banfield, is always looking for something to connect to. It's quite a possibility. But let's hear that in the Moscow police confirms that speaker. The big speaker.
How are you? Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, over here.
And I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Big speaker right there.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, over here.
And I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, we have an issue.
Fair.
You go to school?
Yeah.
Okay. We're here.
Big speaker right there. We'll play it one more time. I'm not going to beat this to death, but we'll play it one more time, and then we're going to move on here. I'm guessing the speaker is because I think he points into the slider. He says that big speaker right there. So Jeff H in the chat says, that's a good theory, Brian. I never heard anyone mention the Bluetooth nature of that speaker. I think you're on to something. Thank you, Jeff. I had an aha moment, dude. I tell you. And then I started connecting all these dots, and Carrie and I were talking behind the scenes, and I said, I think I can make some videos out of this because it makes a lot of sense. Why would they have this speaker in evidence? Why would they have it? He had to have connected to it. It's important to the case, to the trial.
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know, over here.
And I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, we have an issue.
So I'm guessing it's probably inside that slider. It's probably inside there. They might have a little kitchenette or something like that in there. And we knew before that they had a very loud speaker, and I can't play it because they're playing copywritten music, but the noise complaint, I believe that was just right after this one, in the first 16 seconds of the video, I had it up earlier. I can play maybe a smidget of it. I believe this was the second noise complaint. I forget the date on this one. Not that it's really, but I'm going to try to get away with this. And I think I'm going to get whacked though for copywritten music. But this video, when they come up, damn it, I'm going to play it. I know I'm going to get whacked, but let's
turn the music down.
Turn the music down.
Turn the music.
Turn the music down.
Down.
It's a loud speaker. So is it that same speaker? I don't know. I don't know, but it's it's something to talk about. It would make the point, Microbe. I think that's all I'm going to play. I don't want to get away with it, but I wanted people to say, when he goes, turn the music down, it was loud. So that possibly could be that speaker. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating here, but it kind of leads me to belief that they had a lot of these devices in the home, these Bluetooth type speakers, because they're portable. They're easy to carry around to the house, something like those big jumbo speakers. And I have one in my bathroom, believe it or not, a little Bluetooth. When I go in the shower, connect my phone and it's right there and it's banging some music and I'm hanging out, doing my thing in the shower, getting clean. And, I got a speaker going. So, let's see. Oh, Carrie found something. 1406, Carrie. Let's take a look. All right. I got something here. Carrie just found the speaker that they're talking about in the same video. Thank you, Carrie. Good job. Let's pull this up and see if we can see the speaker. Let's see. Oh, playing a Massacre song. I had him in the background. All right, let's see. You said 1406, Carrie? 1406. Let's see. Ah, there it is. JBL. Junk but loud speaker. Right there. Damn it. Get out of that fucking logo. I see it. Right there. It's right here. See that big? That's the speaker they're talking about. Right there. Bang. Junk but loud. JBL. So I wonder if that is Kaylee's speaker. I wonder if that's Kaylee's speaker. I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is her. It would be a little odd to have that in her bedroom, but I'm guessing that could be hers, knowing it's a party house. Hey, I'll just buy a speaker. We'll keep it in the kitchen. It's a communal speaker. Everybody can hook up. Again, it could be a smaller bedroom speaker. Absolutely. I don't know. But I call them junk but loud, JBL. It would be funny if like a couple months down the road, JBL reaches out to me and they're like, would you like to, can we be your sponsor? But there it is. I mean, again, I'm not saying, and I want to make sure this is very, very clear. And this is why get it? This is why we do this, because we find this stuff. I'm not saying that's Kaylee speaker. I don't know if it is, but if it is, that could be the one that got connected to. Let's say Kohberger had the balls to come up to the door and created a relationship with that Bluetooth connection there. It is possible. Aha. Just a Girl said she had packed up most of her bedroom already according to her mom. I think it is the JBL. Aha. That's a great point too. Carrie says, but maybe it's by the door and it picked up the signal when you enter the house. That could be it too. Or it's close enough here. And I don't know and that's like a good idea. That was why we need this house as well too. I need to measure. Let's say it is that speaker that made that connection. Let's say that speaker was there because this is in August. So August, September, October, November, 4 months. I'm sure that speaker never moved, knowing college kids. Okay. Knowing college kids. And I need to measure from that door down to the street and just see maybe he drove by and that's when he was making the connection. Or better yet, this. I got one for you. How about he tripped over it and he left some of his DNA on it? He's running out of that, trying to get out of that slider. And he tripped on it, or his leg touched it, or victim's blood mixed with his blood, or maybe his blood got on it. Again, maybe there wasn't a digital connection, but it has some of his blood on it, some of the victim's blood. He tripped over it and it left some of his DNA on it. Maybe he was sweating and he rubbed up against it. A handprint. Mary, it's great. It's a possibility. I'll go back and look and see if I can find some photos, because I remember there was photos looking in that slider. And I remember there was a stool that was put in front of the door or knocked down. So these are all possibilities. Again, I'm not locking any of this in stone. I don't know. I wasn't there. Paula says maybe that speaker was one of many in the same system and they all connected as surround sound. Quite possibly be. Micro says he may have left his prints at a different time because that slider apparently was never locked. Right. Jackie, handprint. Great. Just peeked into pair and he dipped out. Could be it too. So a lot of possibilities. But let's play this video a little bit and let's take a look. Here he goes. He points right to the speaker. Wow. Good fine carry.
You get a lot of guys trying to argue private property access.
The way I've always done it, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the way I did it there. Find one responsible, have everyone else hold them accountable. If I got to come back here, they're getting the ticket.
Man. There's the speaker.
Because then it's on them to nip everyone else in the bud because they know.
They don't come out
30
and
feet.
contact landlords.
Yeah.
30 feet to start creating that relationship.
Or we come back the next day or the next time you
Damn, and there it is.
Yeah.
Look at that. Bada bing, bada boom, bada boom. Look at that. Clear as day.
Not go a long ways with us.
See, Carrie, I did it again. I didn't go further enough in the video like I did with the Steve stuff when he said speaker that night. I didn't go further enough in the video. So thanks for finding that. And that, kind of puts a little bit more context. This could be it. This could be it. Absolutely. Good. Saliva. That's another one. That's another one. Jeff says, I believe the police put the stools there to lock the door. I wonder if that implies that something was wrong with the door's lock. That could be a good theory too. So Jackie says, as annoying as the novice violation is, the evidence is so helpful to this investigation. And again, you might see these videos in court. This is the speaker that we're talking about. And again, I'm not claiming that it is, but it's an awful weird coincidence that we just recently heard from Steve about a speaker. We're now seeing this speaker in the body cam video from some months before the murders. This could be it. And damn, would it be something if we all sat here on 12/27/23 at 10:25 at night, and we get to the case and they talk and they bring this speaker into the courtroom and they go, this is the speaker that Kohberger connected to. And I can tell you why. I would probably shit a gold brick. I would shit a gold brick. But good stuff. Good catch. All right, let's keep playing a little bit here.
Yeah.
Check out the speaker. Damn, it's right there, man. Look at that shit. Yeah, good point, Masterclass. Look at the speaker. It's fucking right there. I'm going to tell you, Massica, I think this guy got ballsy enough to come up and look around that house. And that speaker was there. College kids, they're not turning that thing off. It's on, it's on the on position at all times. It's always pairing. And I think he got close to that door and looked in and it connected. Or just like someone said, that night he left through that slider. It made a connection with that speaker. I'm telling you. And I'm going to tell you, no one has thought of this. This is like a new thing. I mean, even Jeff, I know Jeff is constantly looking at this stuff. No one has talked about this Bluetooth speaker. And I think it has something to do with it. I really do. I think we have something here. Damn, and there it is, man. It's right there. Fuck. It's right there.
Stairs to the back deck. Interesting. Stairs to the back deck. Interesting.
It's true.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Is this your place?
Yeah.
Perfect. You know why we're here?
And I assume noise.
Noise, yeah.
Yeah.
Big speaker right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against having a party. Once neighbors start calling in, then we have an issue.
Fair.
You go to school?
Yeah.
Okay. What year?
Senior.
Senior. Okay.
Man,
So I'll tell you the same
look
thing.
at that. Boom. It's right there. Fuck. Could that be? Do you guys let me know in the chat? Do you think that's the speaker? Do you think that's the speaker that's in evidence? Let me know in the chat. What do you think? Type it. Let me know. It's okay if you don't agree with me. You might not agree with me, but let me know. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back. All right. Let's look at the chat. What does everybody think? Carrie, I do. Could be. Yes. Yep. Crime Sleuth, and I do, but I also think there's other Bluetooth speakers involved, and plus the Wi-Fi. Yep. Micro says yes, not the only one. Micro, very possible. Crime Sleuth, and maybe it's good. Look at you might. So Paula says no. I think the speaker in her room because her mother said they have her speaker. I don't think it's the main one, but I think more of a smaller one. And again, let's just say it was a speaker in her room. Okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't create a relationship with this speaker as well, too. This speaker might be in evidence. So that's a good theory as well, too. Good Bluetooth speaker can connect at 100 feet away. And that's a big, I wonder if we could figure out the model of that. That's something I want to look at. Let me look. Bluetooth, big motherfucking speaker. That's what I want to find. Let's find that speaker, like a big house speaker. And I want to find out what the range is on that thing. So I'll look for that overnight, see what I can come up with. I think that's another good element that we can bring to the live tomorrow. But I want to continue on here. So great find. Adds a lot of dynamic to the chat today. So I want to just pull this up and talk a little bit about, oh, where was it? Yeah, I think it was this one, or what one was it on? Where did I have it? Okay, this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about. How Bluetooth technology operates. Oh, shit. Bluetooth, BR or EDR devices must always be paired, and this procedure results in either of two devices trusting the other and being able to exchange data in a secure way using encryption. When Bluetooth, BR or EDR device comes in range with another one, an electronic conversation takes place to determine whether they trust each other or not and have data to share. That's what I wanted everybody to realize in all of this. And we talked about this earlier. My device is on. There's Bluetooth devices on in my room. It's trying to search out and create that relationship. It's trying to search out and create that relationship. So the person that was in earlier, you were wrong. You were wrong with saying, no, they have to be paired. You didn't do your research. You are wrong. So if you're here, you're wrong. I've just proved you wrong. It still tries to connect. And then it says the user doesn't usually have to press a button or give a command. The electronic conversation happens automatically. Once the conversation has occurred, the devices, whether they are part of a computer system or a stereo, form a network. Bluetooth works, LE works differently. Devices may also be paired to form a trust relationship between them, but not all types of product require this. A Bluetooth LE device, which wants to discover broadcast special messages, also known as packets, in processing called advertising. Advertising packets contain useful information about advertising device. Another suitable device will find the advertising device by scanning, listening for advertising packets, and selecting those form of appropriated devices. Usually scanning, one happens to either use triggers by saying, press a button in a smartphone application. Typically, the user is then presented with the details of appropriate devices that were discovered and then selects one to connect to. So I just proved at the very beginning of the stream, I don't know if they're still here. Again, you are wrong. Okay. You are wrong. It's always searching. It's always looking to create a relationship with another device. So it does have a digital connection. And like Carrie was saying earlier, these devices are very sneaky. They're doing a lot of things behind your back, and trying to constantly connect because that's its job. The speaker's job is to amplify the Bluetooth signal in there. Its job is to search out with an available device to connect with that you can play music over. So again, I wanted to just bring some of this up. I think it was great to talk about this again. We found out, maybe possibly the speaker that is in evidence right now. We don't know, but I think overall, again, I think there's a lot of, like a horny teen, always searching and looking, right, Donovan? Great point. But I think we talked about some fresh stuff today. Oh, Massacre thinks he has it. Let me do this, bro. I'm going to give you a wrench. So you become a new moderator here. And now you can actually just post that link, bro. Drop it in the chat. You are a new member of the moderation group. And I think blue looks good on you, bro. When you're ready, drop that link and I'll pull it up. Good live tonight. And by the way, for all the new people, do me a favor. If you haven't already, go over and subscribe to Massacre. Let's get him some subs over there. And also to Crime Sleuthin. Check out her YouTube channel, please. Maska, just drop it in the chat here. It'll pull up now because you're a new wrench. You're a new moderator. You can just drop it there and I'll pull it up. I think you just probably hit me up on Messenger, but you can just drop it right in the chat. And that way everybody can look along with us. Let's take a look. Carrie, thanks for the 5 gifted. I appreciate it. Just me, new member. Everybody's suspect, new member. JG, new member. Salad Fingers, new member. Salad Fingers, new member. Thank you. Regina, back in the group. Nice to see you again. It's been a while. But we'll wait. We'll see if... I think this guy was a very smart, dumb criminal, if you know what I mean. Is this the speaker? Drop the link, bro. You can drop it in the chat now. You got a wrench. All right, let's check it out. Oh, he's got it. Massacre found it. That looks like it, man. It's called the party box. I think you got it, bro. That's definitely it. Now, let's find 1,000 watts. That's a loud fucking speaker. And it's actually very well, it looks very well built. That's definitely it. But I want to see the stats on it. What is the Bluetooth let's get some stats on it and see how far it takes to connect to this puppy. I'm going to say okay, he's already got it. I sent a screenshot of the speaker and it also says screenshot of the manual. It says 32 feet. All right. So it's standard 33 feet that we know about. But I'm going to probably guess these things, if they're not obstructed, they're usually pretty good. And you might get 40 feet, 50 feet out of it. It's big. It's a big unit. So it might be a little bit better, you know? It looks like a hell of a speaker. I probably would get one of these if I had like a backdoor patio or something like that. Good find, bro. Really good find. Awesome, man. Great find. Yeah. Bluetooth, normally 32 feet. But again, if that speaker's there and he's got his phone turned on and that Bluetooth and he's coming out that back slider at night, right? $800. It could have made that connection. Pretty Bug says party box, huh? Sounds kind of kinky. Yeah. So Patrick says it looks like his kicker in his trunk when he was a kid. Yeah, it's exactly. It looks like what is that? Bazooka tube. Looks like the bazooka tube, you know. But good find, bro. So again, let's just say it's Kaylee. You know, let's wash all this away. We just say it was a speaker in Kaylee's room. Okay, a smaller speaker. But let's say that this one's still in front of that door, and you know the kids aren't turning that off. It's plugged in and it's ready to go. He comes out that night or comes in through the slider that night and goes out the slider that night. His Bluetooth's on. It's pinged that speaker. And I guarantee you they probably have it in evidence. And wouldn't we shit if they pull that sucker out and they walk in the courtroom, they say, he made connection with the speaker. I'd shit a gold brick. I'm telling you. I would shit a gold brick. But good find. Very, very good, productive live tonight. And I tell you, you know, that's why we do this and we go over these things. When we get these little nuggets that come back to us, we start to think of all the other different possibilities, some of the evidence that hasn't looked over. And I'm telling you, this has been passed over. No one has talked about this. I can't find one single video except for the Banfield videos that I played today. I actually looked. My videos are number 3 in search right now on YouTube about this. So, no one has talked about this. This has been an overlooked thing. And it's very real. You know, it's not like this bullshit grub truck and did you see it? Did you hear it? The kid went here. These are physical, tangible items that is very, very close to a possibility that this happened. So, yeah. Carrie says, what if he connected on one or more of the 12 times he was caught near the King Road house? Yeah. Doing his little missions, looking around, searching the property. Let's just say he walked up by the house on that hill. That's pretty close to 33 feet there. You know, I mean, shit. I can tell you right now, I'm sitting here as I know, and let's just even see the Wi-Fi connections I have around me. I know this one on top. I'm not going to read the Wi-Fi, but let's just say AG. I know who that is. That's my neighbor right there. And that house is probably at least 33 feet away from me, that Wi-Fi. And again, Wi-Fi is a little bit different. You can have a booster and all that stuff. Yeah, we're way past that, Happy Peanut, but thank you for checking things out. You know, even just going into the Bluetooth, I'm probably getting some of their stuff. I know I am. Yeah, I know that is. I can see it right here. I know that's their stuff. So, I mean, and that's 33 feet away, and it's the last one. You're trying to ping their device. So, good live. Very good live. Very informative. I'm very excited to have Kimmy on tomorrow. And again, if you want to continue this tomorrow and hear a little bit more about Bluetooth, and we'll go over some more of this stuff tomorrow too, and just get Kimmy's insight on this and what she thinks. I think it's going to be a great panel. And please come back tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate all the new people that have come over, and we'll be back tomorrow night. I'm going to wrap this one up. It's about 2 hours here, and go over and give Massacre subscribe on his channel. He's at, let's take a look. 9:56 right now. Awesome stuff. We'll get you to 1,000, I promise. And tomorrow night we will have another continuation of this. And Micro says pings are precise when you can match geolocation and metadata massacre. It's also about search warrant asking for all cell phone activity 0.5 miles from that house. Yeah, it's great live. I think tomorrow night's going to be really great. Kimmy, don't worry. Don't freak out. You're going to be fine. We'll do everything at your pace. If you need to bounce off, that's fine. If limited time, whatever you need to do, we'll make it work. Just pop back on that link that I gave to you about 8 o'clock. We'll talk a little bit. And if you need to call me, you have my LTL phone number. Just call me there. We can talk tomorrow pre-live stream. And again, if you have any demonstrations or any information on Bluetooth, anything that can help, a training video, anything like that, send it to me. We'll pull it up and we'll go through it. And I think tomorrow is going to be really, really good. And we're going to have a great live here tomorrow. We consistently held over 200 people tonight. It's what I like to see. And I hope you all come back and check out. And again, to the people that are here for the first time, I stream just about every single night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come check out the channel. We do a lot of things like this, deep diving. We don't only do Idaho 4. We do a lot of deep dives on some other cases, and I think you'll enjoy those as well. So come check it out. Again, first time over here, my name is Brian. This is the LTL True Crime. No more podcasts. We've dumped that. I have some graphics to work on, and I'll be back tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all so much who contributed tonight through my Buy Me a Coffee link, and I'll just do this as well. Aaron, new member. D. Marie, new member. DT, new member. Villain, new member. Carrie H with the 5. I dropped 5. Lucy used her 3-month membership. Micro with the $10.99. Another one with Micro with the $2.99, and Carrie dropped 5 more. And join those memberships. Again, go on my homepage. You'll enjoy all the members-only content, and you'll check out all our members-only lives. And all I ask is this: after that free gift membership has expired, just re-sign up. You don't even have to sign up at $4.99. Just $1.99 will continue to support this channel on a monthly basis. I appreciate it, and I will be back tomorrow night. Everybody be good, be safe. Hope everybody makes it back tomorrow night. Let's get a big crowd in here. I think it's going to be a great show, and we have much more to talk about in the Bluetooth speaker Kaylee Goncalves Bryan Kohberger connection. Bye, guys. Have a good night. And ladies, have a good night.